All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting of the Town of Carmel, March 26, 2025. First on our agenda is a public hearing for A&B Holdings, GCCM LLC.
Hi, Maria Consola for A&B Holdings.
Good evening. Okay, we'll start. Mike, you did not have any comments on this, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
It's on
Rich,
for a
you-
public hearing.
Okay. And Pat had no
Nothing from
comments?
Pat neither, correct.
Correct. This is on for public hearings. Anyone on board have any questions? No. If not, then we'll open it up to the public. If anyone wishes to be heard on this bond return? Then I'll need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, as there's no public comments, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
What's the next step?
So what happens next is it gets referred to the town board,
Okay,
okay? And then they will vote, they will schedule and discuss the bond return.
okay. How long, like when, do you know when that is, or should I have to come back up?
2 weeks?
I think the next work session is the second week of April.
Oh, wow, okay.
So next week is the second, it's the 9th, I think, is when it is.
All right, so-
Okay, there's no way that I can ask to speed that up, or no? Is that
The
just the,
town board has to vote on it, they don't have, you know.
got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Have a
all.
good evening.
Actually, I take that back, it might be 2 weeks after that. The next work session, this gets presented at a work session, and then it gets voted on, so that's 3 weeks from now.
Thank you again.
Okay, next on our agenda is for a resolution. It's Partenza Miller, 257 and 267 Daisy Lane. This is for a lot line adjustment.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Good. Steve Partenza?
Mike, I believe you had no comments, correct?
No comments, all variances were granted and everything is in order.
Very good. And Rich?
No comments?
Very good. And Pat has prepared a resolution for us to be voted on this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer the resolution for final subdivision approval. Resolution of the Planning Board of the Town of Carmel, number 25-14, March 26, 2025. Tax map number 77.1-1-16 and 77.15-1-2.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda for site plan is Verdi Batista, 11-15 Batista Drive. This is a residential site plan. Good evening, Joe. Okay, Mike, you did have a memo on this, correct?
Yep, the applicant added an apartment over an existing garage on a lot with a two-family dwelling and a three-family dwelling. The applicant submitted an as-built survey in lieu of a site plan. The required site plan information is not on the survey. This is not a complete submission. Variance was granted by the ZBA to allow the expansion of the multifamily use. The architect wrote in the application that no construction or site work is proposed. That's because the work was already done. I guess Dennis wrote a notice of violation on the property, and that's why they're here. Why didn't we include a parking calculation on the plat? Variance may be required for parking. Why is lot area provided 61,815 square feet, and there's some area that is in question for title? It's something that I think Joe should look at. It's written on the survey that way. Zoning table's incorrect. Minimum frontage is 100 feet. Lot width and depth are minimum, not max. You wrote maximum on there. And the pre-existing is not an answer to a question. It requires compliance, so we're going to have to get variances for that. It looks like there may also be variances for the side yard for the existing buildings. But you really do need to do a full site plan to get this in here. We can't just work off an existing survey of the property. Oh, and also the zoning has changed last Thursday, so we got to go by the new zoning for the numbers. I can give them to you on Monday. Tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And Rich, you had a memo as well.
No engineering comments on the grand scheme of things. I do have Pat's memo here if you'd like me to read it.
Yes, please.
So Mike already touched base on where the project is located. It involves legalizing an apartment that was constructed above an existing garage. No site improvements are proposed. It's located in an resident zoning district. The use variance was granted by the ZBA in August of '24 to allow more than one single-family residence on the lot. The site will now accommodate one three-family dwelling and one two-family dwelling, and the new dwelling above the garage for a total of 6 dwelling units. Survey of the property does not identify the location of any required off-street parking spaces. The conversion of the garage to a residential dwelling requires the provision of the required parking in accordance with the schedule of district regulations. Cumulative number of required off-street parking spaces must be depicted on the site plan. Clarify how utilities are provided to the new dwelling unit, including sewer, water, and electric. A primary concern related to the legalization of the pre-existing illegal residential units is building and fire code compliance. No action should be taken on this application until the residential unit is brought into full code compliance if it is not already. This should be done whether or not the site plan legalization application is approved or not. That was from Pat.
Thank you. Okay, Joe.
Okay, I haven't got the copies of these, but we'll take care of all those items.
Okay,
Thank you
so
very much.
You'll get a copy. Does the board have any questions on this?
I just had one question.
How does this property relate to the tree business that's next door to it? And it seemed like there was an office in the building for the tree business? I think you have to use it.
Come over. This is Mr. Batista.
John Batista. It's the same property. It's a tenant that rents the property from us. The building is right next to the property that he rents.
And he has his office in your building?
He has it on the first floor.
Did you show that on the site plan?
I just found out.
He has a one-room little office down there.
You should just show all these details on the site plan so they're clear.
So the question in part goes to the, this is an R zone?
Yes, that's what Pat indicated. It's an R.
So there's a commercial business going on inside the building, the office?
He just does his bookkeeping there. It's not like there's people coming in and out. He stores his trucks there and some wood and other supplies.
Storing the trucks, wouldn't that make it, regardless of what he does inside the building, storing the
It's still
trucks there
commercial, yeah.
makes it commercial.
Yeah, that's the
I
property.
went there at night, so I didn't really get a full impact of it, but I did notice, a bunch of trucks. I noticed, I think it was some plow blades parked, just stored there.
Yeah, he does landscaping and snow plowing.
Yeah, if I were a neighbor, I wouldn't want to look at that.
We own the whole road. The neighbors are our tenants.
You live there?
I live at the end of the Batista Drive on Bucks Hollow Road.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that need to be figured out before we can even move forward with this application, so.
There are a lot of comments. This is still based on our new code. This still is an R.
No, it's CB now.
Ah, okay, so that's,
I want to clarify that. So
It might be a good idea if the applicant explains to the board, this is a unusual circumstance where the applicant went to the zoning board first. So it may be a good idea for the applicant to explain to the board, A, why it went to the zoning board first, and B, what the relief was requested and granted there.
Very simple, Mr. Charbonneau. Discussed this with Mike, and I was told that the use variance was required because this obviously already had 5 families there, and
we went to the zoning board first. Maybe you can answer it, Mike.
No, that's fine. The problem is now that we know what's really going on there, you're going back.
Well,
Because now it's a mixed use, so now, we didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know that at all. You're,
it makes two of us. Okay. All right, we'll follow through.
So,
they did not know that.
Well, Joel submitted a copy of the decision with his paperwork, and I didn't notice anything in the decision that mentioned anything about mixed use.
Sorry, I was there. There was no discussion of any commercial uses there.
But under the new zoning code and its classification, is this use prohibited or?
Yes,
prohibited use?
a mixed use is prohibited in that zone. Still, there are zones where it's allowed, but that's not one of them.
But the property was part of Villa Barone. I mean, we owned Lombardi's Restaurant and sold to Villa Barone, and that's all zoned as commercial property.
I'm not questioning that. I'm telling you, a week ago, they changed the zoning for the whole town.
So is this a situation where a longstanding prior use before zoning would make this a permissible use?
No, because it's now, I didn't know until just now that there was a commercial aspect to it. Now that there's a commercial, it's a mixed use, so a mixed use is not permitted. That wasn't mentioned when they got their variance last time. It was just to expand a non-conforming, which was the 2 and the 3 family. Now it's a 2, a 3, and a 1 above the garage.
But just for argument's sake, if the commercial operation was in existence for 50 years, you have to go back to whether it was allowed 50 years ago, right?
You are still expanding a non-conforming because it's a mixed use. It wouldn't help,
Okay.
is what I'm trying to say.
Got
It
it.
doesn't help or hurt.
Got
I
it.
was unaware of the commercial use
Got it.
until it just came up, whoever brought it up here. So when they went to the zoning, we were told a 2-family, a 3-family, and now the 1 apartment above the garage, which was a total of 6, and that's all that we knew about. Even where it writes what's on the property, nobody mentioned a business was operated there.
So just to be clear, this is not mixed use at this point in this day?
It is, but I was unaware until 5 minutes ago.
All right.
So it's
So-
not
so-
legally mixed use, if
It's
that's what
not-
you're
It's not
asking.
legally mixed use. We don't know if the apartments are legal
The apartments are
The
legal.
apartments.
as far as up
The
to,
commercial aspect may or may not be.
as
That's
far as up
the,
to code I'm talking about.
yes, we've been inspecting them. Joe inspects
We have.
them
They
every
are up to code?
year, I believe he does
Yeah,
these,
they're-
correct?
they are up
Yeah,
to
So I
every
wanted to
year.
get that
They're
clear.
inspected every year, yes.
Can you just explain what the business is? Because I'm not familiar with what business part of it.
He's a tree service and landscaping business.
And he parks his trucks there but doesn't do anything else in
No, just
in the
parks his
office?
equipment there.
Well, you might want to take a look at, I mean, when I went by there today, there were loads of trees on the ground.
Yeah, he sells wood.
Yeah.
So that would mean he's
conducting business.
conducting
Yeah.
commercial activities then?
Well, he delivers the wood. It's not like customers come and buy the wood there. He delivers the wood, whatever he sells.
I would still
Cuts it
consider-
up.
I would still consider that a commercial operation. So one of the pending issues right now is the fact that there is a illegal commercial operation there. That's what's been presented to this board.
There's an operation there that the zoning board was unaware of when they granted the variance. And that it wasn't shown on the map that was submitted, so I didn't know about it either, so.
So if I went to Sandy Creek, Mike, they gotta go back to the zoning
So I'm
board.
gonna say, do we refer
Well,
this
they have
back?
to go back anyway for all the area variances, which is what I said in the first place. If you try to get the use variance, you still have to, if there's variances, I don't know what you have or what you need until you tell me what's going on there. Now that we see the survey with what's there, I don't see parking delineated or anything, so I don't know exactly. Joel's gonna have to put a lot more details on the map before we can make a full delivery to the zoning board.
Thank you. Mike.
Mr. Chairman, I don't hear anybody saying no outright. I don't think we need to overreact, but I think Joel has his cut out so far.
I think you got some work to do.
He has his work cut out for him before we
Come back
refer
to us
anything
again,
we're
then we'll
looking at.
decide if you're gonna go to the ZBA.
That's all.
For
Okay.
another variance, and we'll work through it.
Good,
So
thank you very
thank you
much.
for your honesty. You just
Thank
have a
you,
little bit of
appreciate
work cut out, that's all.
Okay, let's go.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, next we have a subdivision, Hasbrook and Khan's subdivision, 241 Washington Road. Sketch plan of 2 lots.
Good evening. Paul Lynch, Putnam Engineering.
Paul?
Okay, Mike, you had a memo on this applicant?
Yes, only a subdivision application was made for this property so far. The submission includes a site plan, but there's no application for it. It's something that we need to figure out what we're doing here. Open development approval is required from the town board for this proposal. Lot 2 does not have frontage on a town, county, or state road. The easement information should be submitted to Joe Charbonneau for review, and there are areas on the site map labeled existing paddock and existing ring. These areas are not legally there yet. It's not supposed to be a horse riding operation yet. So they're there, but they're not there legal. They've been riding horses on the area, I guess is what you're saying?
Yes.
Just want to be clear, so nobody thinks that it's already legally a farm or 2 farms.
Okay, thank you. And Rich, you had a memo as well, didn't you?
So the project encompasses a subdivision of 28.3 acre parcel into 2 lots around 11.3 and 17 acres respectively, located on Washington Road. My standard comments of referrals and permits that are going to be needed. The applicant needs to, move forward with the normal standard subdivision information that is going to be required, a stormwater pollution prevention plan. It has to meet with the New York City DEP for a SWIP. It contains no information regarding proposed areas for open space. The applicant should provide an EAF for the subdivision. They should provide a legend on the drawing. So right now, all that was given to us was I think the last time they were here, they said, hey, no, maybe that might be the wrong one, but when we spoke with them, they chose the layout they wanted. They're just presenting that to you. I'll go into Pat's. So it was originally given to the board in January, conceptual subdivision sketch plan. This submission includes a site plan drawing denoting various private stable improvements. A site plan application, however, did not accompany the plan. If the applicant is the applicant seeking site plan approval in addition to the site plan approval? I don't know what that means. Yeah, he messed up. So they're looking for subdivision and site plan, so that kind of needs to be hashed out. If so, a full application is required, similar to what Mike had said. The rear lot is landlocked. In order to legalize this, must be open development by the board. A new DEC wetland is in place, so a New York State DEC jurisdictional determination is required. It does not appear that the rear lot is intended to operate as a single-family residential property with accessory private stable. The site plan shows a very small proposed dwelling, and the number of paddocks in the paid parking lot indicates that this property will operate commercially. Clarification is required.
That is allowed now in the new code. They can do horse sporting operations or horse riding academies as permitted uses in that zone.
Okay, thank you.
So when we were last here, we had originally just presented the 2 lot subdivision, showing that there was going to be 2 lots for horse use. And the board was concerned with, well, how are the 2 lots going to be developed? So a conceptual plan has been put together for both lots, and that's what we wanted to present tonight, so you can see how each lot's going to be used, and we will be moving forward with individual site plan applications. But in this case, we could then have the subdivision running concurrently with the site plan reviews, and subdivision would obviously need to be approved before the site plans can. We are, if you see, there's a group of lines that run around part of the property, and those are setback requirements based on what was the old code. I don't know if it's still consistent with the new code, but when you look at this plan, you'll see the 100-foot, there's a 100-foot setback, and I believe it's a 150, and then a 200, and there's certain things that can take place in each area. So we've got everything set up so that, like, the barn is 100, it's on the 150-foot setback line, and the house can be where it is, just 100 feet away from the property lines, and that's how we set things up. So it conforms to what were the old standards, and hopefully are still the new standards or current standards.
Is there, if it changes, do you still have the room for that layout and just readjust the plan?
You would just be adjusting some things inside, but within that framework.
Now, could you just, for the board, could you show us both lots? I mean, I believe I see them, but take us through.
This would be the property line that separates the back lot,
Okay.
which is the 11.27 acre lot, and then this would be the front lot. There'd be land that gets deeded to this town so that you get a 25-foot center line offset to the property line. So that's what this dashed area is up through here. Access to the back lot and access to this lot comes across an existing 48-inch culvert. So it's an existing driveway that comes in here. It's just going to be extended straight through. There'll be an easement around that driveway that provides access for this person in the back. And we went with, I think, a 30-foot wide easement to leave plenty of room, but, not too much room.
Could you also, for each lot, take us through the structures that are on there?
This is an existing storage shed here. There's an existing storage shed there. There's an existing fenced-in area here. There's an existing fenced-in area there. This is an existing fenced-in area here. What you see in green would be a future paddock. This area down in here is going to be would be the future area where, like, the manure gets stored. So that is actually, it's in a I think it's in an enclosed bin.
There is a whole manure.
Yeah, there'll be a holding tank in essence. And what happens is the truck comes in, backs in, picks that container up, takes it out, and it, obviously brings in a new one. And that would take place for both properties at the required beyond the required setbacks.
Okay.
And there is a house on the front lot.
Yeah, the existing house is up here. And
The
this,
structures would be on the back lot.
the existing house, well, the proposed house would be somewhere down in this location, and that would be the proposed barn.
So there's no house there now?
No, on the back, no, it's vacant. It's just open field.
And the existing house that's on the front lot, is that going to remain the way it is? Or
Yes.
is it going to be changed?
Yeah, that house will remain as is.
Are both lots going to be owned by the same person?
No, the intent is that this is going to be sold to an associate.
But the front lot's going to have horses on it as well?
Yes.
And so there's a barn there, where are the other horses?
They're going to actually convert the storage sheds and build a third storage, what would become a horse run-out
Stable, yeah.
stall area, but not a barn per se. They may in the future, but it could be several years from now, want to build a barn, but that would be an amended site plan at that
And how
point.
many horses would be on that property, do you know?
I do not know.
6 to 8.
6 to 8 is the answer.
On the front one or
On
the
the
back
front?
one?
And the back one?
In total, it would be 10 at the most.
Between both properties.
Correct.
Are the horses there presently?
No.
And I think we said before, just to clarify, what, as far as horse, will it be what? Actually, sir, why don't
You gotta come up, Eric, you gotta come up.
Introduce yourself, and this way people at home.
Eric Hasbrook, thank you for hearing what we're trying to do. We're really trying to keep it very rural and have a nice place for our horses. And we have a friend and an associate who, we're fortunate that wants to do the same thing with us and just keep it private and not do any more with it than that, than just enjoy the land and keep it the way it is as much as is possible. Obviously, the setbacks we know we're in, is it 1A or what it's called, which is the highest level with the reservoirs there, and have total respect for that, which is why, you know, we're going through all this to try to make sure we do that. But also just enjoy this pristine piece of land. It's breathtaking.
So there's no commercial intent there?
No.
As far as boarding,
No,
lessons,
no,
anything like that?
no. Our colleague plans on basically having a retirement farm. She still competes a little bit, but, and then, yeah, just have our horses and enjoy it, and, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I did make the request to the New York State DEC back in January, and I'm waiting for a response. So it's just, everybody else in the state made the same request, and we'll find out when we find out if they're gonna have input. They did flag, within the current year, they did come out and do this, you know, the current flagging, and they're well aware of what was going on relative to the new law that was taking effect in January. So I doubt there's gonna be much of a change for us, but it's always possible until you actually hear something from them.
Are there any wetlands on the property?
Yeah, this is the wetland line. So where my hand is, that's all wetland.
How many acres about, Paul? It's a 28-acre parcel, right? 11 and 17, but I'd probably say about 8 of those or 10 of those.
I'm gonna say about 10.
Total.
Yeah, probably 10 out of the
So it's a
entire.
28-acre parcel, now it's down to an 18-acre parcel to be able to build on the grand scheme of things. That's not actually true, but, you know, that's usable.
Well, in terms of usable, this lot, and it's calculated from the buffer line, this lot would be 8.11 acres of usable land. This lot has basically 6.99, usable land.
And it used to be 4 acres for horses for private stables, so they're well above.
I mean, it seems like a very nice project. You know, a good use of the land. So,
Anybody else have any questions from the board?
No, I'd like to
So
see
Paul,
more of it.
there are some comments that you're gonna have to.
Yeah, we'll
address.
deal with
You
the
have to get
comments.
back to us from the DEP, right?
DEC.
DEC, I'm sorry. So,
Yeah, I'll contact the DEP. I'm not exactly sure what their involvement is gonna be, but I'll find that out.
all right, you can
For the
report that back to
DEP,
us.
you're developing and doing work within the 300 or 500, feet of a reservoir stem.
I think we're farther away.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'll get that. I'll talk to
That's the
Danny.
reason why you'd have to go. You have
Yeah.
to figure that out. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not gonna discuss it here, but there's a stream, the reservoir is not that far away. You're pretty close.
Paul, could I also ask you to reach out to Pat Cleary, because he offline expressed some concerns to me. So I want you to speak with him
Okay,
before going forward, just for no other reason than to have an
okay.
intellectual conversation about what you're doing.
I will do that.
All right.
We're good?
Good then? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, Carmel Terminals, 79 Old Route 6, Carmel. This is on, for a bond return.
How you doing?
Good, good evening.
Jack
How are you?
Durkin. Good.
I'm sorry, state your name.
Jack Durkin, Carmel Terminals.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, again, as I said, this is on for a bond return. Mike, you had no comments, correct?
That is correct.
And Rich, you want to talk about the bond? You did have a comment on the bond?
So the applicants requested that their bond for the project be returned. It's in the amount of $339,000. It's not been reduced in the past. We performed site visits, various site visits, but most recently, March 11th, to evaluate the status of construction. Based on the inspection, the site features have been installed as approved and are completed, and the bond can be returned. That's basically it. They did a good job over there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board on this? Anything you want?
No, I appreciate all the help throughout the process.
Great.
So next step, public hearing, I think they vote on a public hearing now, so it'll go to a public hearing, public will be here, and then after that, it goes to the town board. If there's no public comment, no issues, it goes to the town board for their approval for bond return.
Sounds good.
So I'll need a motion from someone to schedule a public hearing.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing on the bond return.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thanks, guys.
Sounds like he's okay if everybody seconds it.
And lastly, we have minutes from our December 12th, 2024 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I read the minutes, provided some minor comments to Rose, so I move approval of the minutes subject to those comments.
Second, subject to.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Before we adjourn, I just have a quick question for our esteemed panel. No, I'm excluding you from the esteemed part. But how do we get applicants show up, put on the agenda, and come in that are so far off the mark? I mean, you almost, I think you put in caps that the applicant wasn't ready to be here, right? How can we prevent applicants like that from getting on the agenda?
So I review them and Rose reviews them. He provided the minimal information that was required for this. It's that simple. We have a checklist we go through.
Okay.
So maybe that applicant needs to be spoken to, but that's not the applicant itself, but the representative to try to do a better job, but.
We reformed the process a few years ago, and we put together, actually, I think Rich put together a pretty comprehensive checklist of what is required. So, you know, the end result that comes in the door here may look sloppy, but it's in conformity with all of the checklist requirements. Just because you check all the boxes doesn't mean that the end product is going to be worthy of the board. And I think the board does a pretty good job of vetting those things right from the get-go and lets the applicant or their representative know that they're going to have to tighten things up.
And this wasn't accepted immediately. It took 3 goes for it to actually get to where it got to the board. It came in, I made comments, came in a second time, I made comments, came in a third time, then it was approved.
And it had enough check marks to be able to go.
Well, it had the check marks, but there wasn't sufficient information. It was zoning board approved this. Approved what? No detail was given, right? So again, what came in was the very simple, we have approval from the zoning board for this new apartment. No other information was given. Very simple and straightforward. No site work's being done. It's already existing. One of Mike's comments was, what does existing mean, right? I mean, on the grand scheme of things, to paraphrase Mike, right? So, again, it was limited information, but it was sufficient to meet that checklist that Joe talked about.
Gotcha. All right, sorry.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Nope.
If not, I'll need a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting of March 26th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.